G'day everyone, it's me, the anti-theocrat, back with another one. We're looking at the tugging at Heartstrings party as opposed to the doom and gloom environment party. So this is the Child Protection Party, who tell us that 4 out of 5 children worry about the future. Now, I worry about the mental state of children, and not entirely. I mean, I think in high school we all had the worries about, where our life was going and everything. We had counsellors to tell us what jobs we wouldn't qualify for and everything else. So, these things were a concern in our high school years. But I wonder if this is about children in primary school, in which case we've got a problem. So, shall we read on? This is from this year. Wow. New research in childhood anxiety has found 4 out of 5 children have worries about the future, which can range from concerns about money, bushfires, and climate change to not having friends. Now, again, I'm worried about the age range of these kids. When I was 15, my father was in a motorcycle accident. Someone decided to try and run him down on his bike riding home from work with a 1970s Ford Fairlane. So, they tried to do it well. We had money concerns, but did I really take that as a personal concern for the welfare of my personal future, Or did I think I was going to get off my ass and do something with my life? I can tell you now that I didn't take our extreme poverty from my father being on a very low income for a very long time with his payments for his injuries. It just didn't strike me in that really personal, I'm going to fret about it type of way. We had other people delivering meals to us. We couldn't afford anything, but it still wasn't something that was causing me personal anxiety. There was more anxiety about my father, of course. Bushfires. So we know when this was written, don't we? This was written in January 2020 during the bushfires. And of course they were a concern, because didn't the media flog the shit out of that? And we can add climate change to that too, because according to the most popular media outlets, it was all down to climate change. Climate change was destroying our world. I hate to tell you how much rain we've had here in drought-ridden Cobar since the fires stopped. I really do. It even yesterday, it bloody pissed on us again. So, yeah. And not having friends, well, this is not an uncommon thing for kids, is it? I didn't have a lot of friends. It was a concern for me. Is it really that big an issue, or is it something that can be dealt with? Okay, some of the common concerns for young Australians about the future include not getting a job. Well, yeah, I still have that as an adult, so I don't see that as a problem. I would say get the best education you can get, and have a goal in mind. That's what I did. I had a goal in mind. I didn't get the education I wanted, but at least I aimed high enough that when I did drop out of school, I was able to find a solution. I was actually offered 2 trade apprenticeships, and I chose the one that was closest to the field that I wanted to go to, because my education was, even though I dropped out of school early, my education level was high enough that I was valuable as an apprentice option. So, there are things you can do. Aim high. Do your best. The cost of living. I don't know that this is an issue for kids. Is it really an issue for kids? Is this an issue for parents who can't keep their financial woes away from their kids? My job as a father, as an at-home father, as a husband, is to keep my family, my entire family, my partners value the fact that I deal with all of our bills and pay our bills and leave them nothing in the way of financial worries. I budget to the point where we occasionally save money, and when things go bad, we have money to fall back on. Unfortunately, it means we lose our savings. We are not the sorts of people who have money in the bank all the time, but I keep those problems away from my family. That's my responsibility to my family. There is absolutely no reason that my children should be involved in knowing anything about that. I might tell them that I can't afford to buy them the flashiest presents for their birthdays or what have you, but that's as far as that goes. I don't tell them when this next electricity bill that's coming in might push my finances so hard that I have to worry that we're going to keep the electricity on. Now, that's not actually a problem for me. It has been in the past, but I don't tell my children those things. It's not their business. Learning and education. Well, yes, I guess that's always going to be there while our children... I mean, this is an Australian party. Our education is... The government have now made it so that it is mandatory to go to year 12 unless you have a job to go to when you reach job age. That's the state of things, which means for 12 years you are going to worry about your education. So, I did. I worried about my education because I moved from one end of the country to the other, and I got dumped in classes with people who were still learning to add while I'd been in a top maths class in the state I had come from. I lost algebra. I just did not learn algebra. Somewhere in the move from one end of the country to the other, nobody thought to teach me algebra. Now, I wanted to do architecture or electronic engineering at university. This meant I had to work damn hard to lift myself out of this place I'd been put in. I mean, if no one teaches you about algebra, if no one presents it in the classroom, you don't know it exists until one day it's there in your face. I had a teacher later, a couple of years later on in my class life, give me a as yet unlisted maths book for the school that had come in that hadn't actually been registered with the school yet. I still have it in my collection now, so that I could go home and learn algebra on my own at home. And that's how I learned algebra. Now, I did physics and maths 1 and maths 2 because I forged through. I did 2 years of year 11 before I dropped out of school, completing 2 years of year 11, passing 12 out of 14 subjects that I did. And the reason I did 14 subjects was because I had to do veggie maths and veggie science before I could go the second year around to do maths 1, 2 and physics. So, you know, yeah, I worried about my education like no fucking body's business. It's not that big a deal. It's just a thing you have to do. And let's face it, adult life is harder. If you think school life is hard, then you're not going to manage when you get out. Plastic waste. Really? Who's teaching them about the worries of plastic waste? Climate change, and who's teaching them that one? And droughts, who's pushing that one on them? The majority of the population here in Australia lives in cities where they don't suffer drought. They don't have a concern with drought. I live in outback Australia where the fucking drought has been devastating. And my kids don't worry about droughts. Bushfires. This was written at the time of the bushfires, and boy, were they pumping the fear. Family's health. Well, yeah, I mean, look, I had a father who had a motorcycle accident during my school years. He had heart attacks years before that. He had 2 heart attacks at the age of 45. So, yeah, family health, sure. But is it this fucking anxiety-causing fear? I don't think it is. I didn't have anxiety over my father's heart attacks. I was young enough that just sort of breezed over me. When he had his motorcycle accident, of course it was a concern, but I got on with my life and I did what I had to do. Well-being. What the health and well-being? I hate this word well-being. Just fuck off when you use that word. And making friends. So we're back to friends again. I don't have any concern over the making friends things. You will have more friends at school than you will have the rest of your fucking life. And I had no friends at school. Right. I had some friends, in my latter years of school, my two good friends, half of them are dead already. Okay, the National Online Survey of 1,000+ children aged from 5 to 15 was commissioned by MasterCard, or as I like to call them, Jihadi Card. Yay! I did this graphic up when MasterCard was shutting down people's financial accounts as a protection for Islam, the religion of pieces of jihadi here and pieces of jihadi there and pieces of jihadi everywhere. But yes, MasterCard was being protectionist about the jihadis and their poor little hurt feels. So, yeah, that's what I prefer to call them, Jihadi Card. Found that young people were increasingly anxious about the state of not just their own health and well-being, but that of their families and the planet. Now, who's pumping this shit into these kids, really? I mean, I was an environmental activist as a child, in school, right? In high school years, I was concerned about the environment, but fucking hell, it didn't lead to any drastic mental states. I still went out and got pissed with my mates. I still drove around in the cars. I still chased girls. Jeez. Which people are creating so much anxiety in kids that, this is a really big thing. Dr. Grant, whatever, the lead clinical advisor for Feminist Blue. Sorry, Beyond Blue used to be a men's mental health charity. That was its primary focus. If you go to Beyond Blue now, it is run by a horrendous feminist pig who used to be a prime minister. I think she's still running it. If not, she already corrupted it and it's dead anyway, because when you go to their website and look up their services, it starts with women, children and family and everyone else, and men get dumped at the bottom. So, that Beyond Blue is dead to me. Beyond Blue is absolutely useless. Anyone involved with Beyond Blue, I have no real want to know what they have to say, because the fact that you're still working there when the focus has been lost, that you didn't complain or say anything about that, no. The fact that he's talking about children, right? Beyond Blue are talking about children. It was a men's mental health charity. You could turn that to boys, but we're not doing that, are we? This is children, because women and children are the top of their bloody priorities these days. Associate Professor at University of Melbourne, well, yeah, okay, these results confirm 2000 Mission Australia Annual Youth Survey. Look, I'm not a big fan of Mission Australia doing youth surveys. I don't know who the hell they survey, but I know who they work with. So, yeah, I don't know what demographics they're covering with this. I mean, let's start with the fact that Mission Australia is first and foremost a religious organisation. And yes, it works with vested interests that have a source of government grant money behind them. Let that just tarnish what you might think about anything Mission Australia produces in the way of surveys, because I do. I don't have a great trust of these people when they have these things. The survey found that environment soared from 8th place in 2018 to 2nd place in 2019 in the list of issues young people say are most important issues in Australia, more than tripling in significance since last year. Yeah, who's pumping this shit into these kids? Now, I actually have read on a little bit in this. I've briefed this a little bit, and I know where this is coming from, and I know what they're going to say is going to cure it, and I think they're the same thing. The cause for concern about the environment left from 9% to 34%. Kids are very aware of environmental and climate issues even before this summer of bushfires and smoke-filled holidays, he said. Yeah, so right now, at the time of writing this, we're looking at the bushfires, which were promoted massively as due to climate change. Nothing else since. Not the hailstones that hit Canberra, not the rain that we've had, none of that. The flooding that we've had, none of that apparently was due to climate change. These were just freak weather events. So, yeah, there was a massive scare campaign around the bushfires and the smoke-filled holidays. But apparently this was before that. Well, again, what the fuck do you think little Greta was out there doing? What do you think people have been doing for the last few years? Actually, I was writing about climate 15 years ago. I was a supporter of this. I'm not anymore because every fucking prediction that was ever made has failed drastically. Not met a single bloody one. Not even human population numbers. So, yes, I understand. They're being flogged this. Who's flogging it to them? Is it really something that they are suffering anxiety over? Global worries can be a perfect focus for people with generalized anxiety conditions who can sometimes think they mean the end of the world. But there are a lot parents can do to allay their children's fears. You need to use your judgment as a parent depending on the child's age, temperament, as to what you tell them, he warned. What fucking yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Who is teaching these kids these things? This is the most common sense thing written in fucking forever that I've seen in these sorts of articles. It's up to parents to ensure a sense of safety and security for children when they think about the future. It is up to us to give children a sense of hope, he said. Well, not just a sense of hope, but, if they're being taught these things by idiots like Greta, who really has nothing to add, nothing of value in the way of scientific information or predictions or anything else. She's promoting the cult doctrine. That's it. She knows the 6 lines from the Bible that the drug addict on the street corner preaches, and that's what she's doing. She knows fucking nothing. She's a moron. It's been proved it was proved with one simple question. Greta was asked what she thought about something. What she personally thought about something. And she handed the microphone on to the rest of the desk full of kids because, we're tugging at heartstrings here. Where's the Heartstrings party? Yeah, it's all about the tugging at heartstrings. So she's sitting at a table full of kids and she ums and ahs that she doesn't even have her own fucking idea what she's on about. How she feels about something. So she tries to pass the mic on to someone else to get them to answer for her. Oh dear. This is particularly important this summer of large-scale disasters, deaths, people and wildfires, and the bleak overall picture of the future, he said. Look, see, you went from telling us we had to watch what we were telling children, and now you're saying we're in a summer of large-scale disasters, death of people and wildlife. You're talking about the fucking fires, aren't you? You still don't give a flying fuck about the hailstorm, the rain, or anything else, because none of that is climate change. So you're just selling the same fucking story. You tell us we don't have to scare our kids, but all you've got is, well, there's no fucking wonder your kids are scared. We need to give them active hope that they may see problems in the future. They can also be part of the solution. How about we also teach them that maybe fucking people like Greta have got no fucking idea what they're on about. Don't ever underestimate the capacity of young people to find solutions for the world's problems. I don't. I really don't. I really think it's the activists who do. Okay, on Friday, Beyond Blue chair, former Prime Minister Julia I'm a fucking feminist retarded bitch Gillard. I voted for that bitch, by the way. Sorry about that, everyone. I really fucking am sorry for that these days. I was sorry almost immediately she was elected because she claims to be a single woman with a boyfriend, an atheist, and she never told anyone that she was a feminist. So, what do we find the minute she becomes Prime Minister? She's fucking about an atheist as fucking the next person who goes to church tomorrow on Sunday. Really, she was fucking useless as any sort of atheist. And since being PM, she actually didn't let her feminism out too much when she was the PM. Just a little bit, and some of it was justified, but really, she was an utter bitch. And it turned out, after she finished being PM, she managed to fuck up a men's charitable organisation with her feminism. So, hey, good-o. Welcome the Commonwealth's commitment of $8 million towards supporting mental health in early learning services and schools affected by bushfire. I bet some of that goes through Beyond Blue. I bet my ass some of that $8 million goes towards Beyond Blue. So she's happy. She's got the money coming through. The funding package allows Beyond Blue to provide additional support to educators and staff working in early learning services at schools affected by bushfire crisis. Yeah, righto. $8 million and Beyond Blue have got their hand out for it. And ex-PM feminist charity destroyer Julia Gillard, she's there with her hand right there deep in the pockets. We will target this funding to help schools and early learning services in bushfire-affected areas to recover and support their children, families and communities. Did anyone at all see the word men in there? Because men used to be the focus of Beyond Blue. The chair of Beyond Blue can't even fucking say the word. Children and young people can be particularly vulnerable to the emotional impact of disasters, and they look to the adults around them for reassurance and protection. What about the men who worked their lives for property and possessions that were all lost? The firefighters who were out there fighting their fires, the people who lost friends, relatives, pets, all the rest of that, the men in those situations, don't they have any vulnerability? Beyond Blue used to be a men's mental health charity. Not once does this appear to say that we can recognise anyone but children. The funding is for children. The Beyond Blue got their hand out for the children. Our services and learning services will be at the heart of the community-led recovery. They provide children and young people with familiar routines, and these can be particularly useful in providing a sense of stability in hard times. While parents and families will be the main source of support for many students, yeah, right, so we don't need Beyond Blue having $8 million. What we probably need is parents and families. You know, the fathers and the mothers. They could have the $8 million because they're the ones going to be supporting the students. And let's face it, if the students' woes are about their house having burned down or losing a pet in a fire or the money that the family no longer have because they've lost all their assets and they're now having to rebuild, wouldn't that $8 million be handy in the hands of some parents and families? I get it, we're supposed to provide counselling for everything these days, but for fuck's sake. Learning environments where children and young people are helped to manage distress are a critical part of the recovery process, she said. This is the thing I mentioned earlier. Learning environments where children and young people are helped to manage distress are a critical part of the recovery process. I would argue they are also a big part of the fucking problem. Where do you really think a 34% of children are learning that climate change is going to end the world? Really, where do you think children are learning this? Because I will bet my fucking ass that there are not 34% of parents out there creating catatonic children by teaching them the world is going to end. Oh, there's a small number of them. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt there are stupid parents out there everywhere. But a lot of the stupid parents are also the sort of parents who don't give a flying fuck about climate change. Right? So we're talking about a very small part of stupid people. Something like that. But yes, I think there is a major problem with our schools teaching kids that the world is going to end. And I don't give a shit, you know. If it's through the enforced religious education these days, fuck, did I have to write some nasty shit on that bloody form. I have essentially told my son's school that if the person who does the religious education in the school even approaches my child in the playground, because the system allows for that, I will take out a restraining order against them for undermining my parenting. That's how hard I've had to go on that one. And I'm telling you now, I'll go just as hard on anything to do with bloody gender education or climate education. I will be there fucking stamping my foot, because it's not your job to terrify my child or to teach them that they could be wrong in their male skin. Not your fucking problem. But this, learning environments, I see as a big part of the problem. However, Beyond Blue think that they're going to be managing this problem. In light of the results of the survey sponsored by Jihadi Card, Jihadi Card, where is it? Bring it up. Yay, Jihadi Card. The company put out a nationwide search for budding scientists and entrepreneurs to challenge them to come up with practical ideas how to reduce young people's anxieties. That's easy. Shoot Greta. Sorry. I'm not really advocating that somebody hurt Greta, but we've got to get the coverage that she gets shot down, right? If there's a TV transmitter out there somewhere transmitting that shit, someone's got to flick the off switch. Shoot that shit down. And I don't mean blow up the transmitter. Okay, shoot can be used as something other than projectiles out of barrels, okay? Bloody hell. It's a sad day when you have to sit here going, really, I'm not advocating violence, because I'm fucking not advocating violence. I'm not a violent person. I've never been a violent person. One of the reasons I was bullied in school and didn't have many friends was because I'm not a violent person. I can be driven to violence. I've learned how to be violent. I won't hold back a punch if a punch is needed, whether you be male or female. But I, myself, am not a violent person. So, when I say shoot things down, right, we'll just clear this up. I don't mean use a projectile firing device, okay? It's a sad world we live in. Yeah, so I would say, MasterCard, that the best way to reduce kids' anxieties is to stop the education systems and the media telling them that the world is burning down because of climate change. Remembering that this article was written at the time of the fires here in Australia. Now, there is only so much fuel that a fire can burn before the fire no longer has anything to burn. It will be a few years before we have serious fires in this country again, because all the fuel was burned. And we know that one of the big things that was wrong with what happened with the fires was environmental policies that meant no grazing or burning was taking place in the places where these fires occurred, meaning there were massive fuel loads on the ground. Now, how the fires started, the fact that we were in a drought. I mean, we're still in drought. We've had heaps of rain, but out here we're still in drought. Our water supply is not up or anything. We're still suffering water restrictions and what have you. But it's just not true. Oh, God, I don't even know where I'm going now. But yeah, if you want to stop anxiety in these kids, stop fucking making them anxious by telling them the world's ending. It's that simple. You didn't need scientists for that. I can tell you that. But the best 3 ideas to be announced on Monday will be announced on Monday. They will go on. They will go on pitch their idea to a panel of. They will go on to, I'm guessing, pitch their ideas to a panel of experts at Jihadi Card, a tech hub at the Australian Open this week in Melbourne. Oh, Australian Open, sorry. Tennis, who cares? Some of the solutions to ease children's woes ranged from helping people in need to improving education in outback Australia. You know what? Education in outback Australia is not that terrible. I know there are gaps, like there's a massive leaning towards sport in our high school here, and very little leaning into the arts, and everything else just seems midway between that. And we've only got the one high school, which is a population of 5,000, a local government area the size of Denmark. What do you want? Our education out here is not that terrible. I would say that you're better off concentrating on getting some of the shit out of the schools that's in them now. Get back to teaching the kids what they need to survive, not what they need to have anxiety. Is that too hard? I mean, stop wasting my kids' education time with trying to feed them religion or social justice or climate change. Just get that shit out of the schools. It's not needed. What my son needs in order to be the person who can change the world is an education. Maths, science, literature, good stuff. The stuff that gets people out and able to live their lives and succeed in life. Anyway, 12-year-old breakfast point boy Nicholas, well, let's go to the kids for their ideas. I'm forgetting this is a heartstring pulling party, isn't it? Innovative idea is Bubbles, the helping hand, a soft toy that detect and assist anxiety in children. What the fuck? Isabel 7 from Port Melbourne suggested an app that could locate and feed the homeless. Yeah, go the app. Celia, a 12-year-old from Perth, suggested a holographic education program, Holotech. That will enhance the education in remote and rural communities. Yeah, and I still am waiting for my flying skateboards, thank you. Yeah, waste of fucking time if we're asking the kids for under the age of 12 for serious advice on how we deal with anxiety. I mean, shit. I don't know. Anyway, that was a quick little rant just to cover the child protection party and the sort of crap that's going on in the world around, child anxiety. I tell you, if you don't feed it to them, this is like religion, okay? If you don't indoctrinate them, it does not stick. I was not indoctrinated as a child. There was a religion all around me throughout my life. But there was no indoctrination in the home, no backing up the principles of religion at home. My parents just did not talk about religion. They believed I should learn about religion because it's good to know about other people and the way they think and the things they believe and their cultures. Shit, I still have the passion for learning cultures and things. So, but this is what my parents believed. And so I learned about religion. I went to religious education. I went to Sunday school in an atheist household. I did those things. But there was no support for the belief in my house, and so it never stuck. Well, if you don't want your kid to be anxious about climate change or the family budget, don't fucking pump it into their heads, right? Keep them free from it. Discuss it in private amongst adults. The world doesn't need more fucking retarded kids like Greta. That's all I've got to say about it. I'm going to leave this one. I've got another one to get out very quickly. I've been the anti-theocrat. This has been another one of these. I hope your gods remain fictional, and I will see you in the next one. Have fun.